Okay, now that I have all this stuff all over my stove and my countertops, I'm gonna take a second to clean it off. Max is over here hanging out with me also, so you'll get to see him for a little while today also. Anyway, let's go ahead and I'm gonna pull aside the things that I need for the calzone, which is the Alfredo sauce, the black olives, the chicken sausage, and the dough, which is right here. I'm gonna go ahead and take all of the vegetables, kind of hang out over here with them. Okay, cool. As you can see, this is a very tiny, tiny kitchen. I mean, like, I'm at the beginning of it right here. So it's not a lot of space. This is another thing. You don't need a giant, beautiful kitchen to be able to make really delicious, healthy, yummy food. You just need some time and a plan. So, it's just an encouraging thing, I think, you know, like to know that you can do things simply. And that you don't have to have, you know, all the things that you might think that you need in order to make a really interesting meal plan for yourself and your family. Okay, so I'm gonna start by taking a pan out of my cupboard and now, I have worked in some restaurants also in the past, and I got my oil. I have worked in some restaurants in the past, and I've really loved cooking since I was younger. So to me, it's like the kitchen is like my lab, right? I get to create, I get to explore, I get to experiment, and it's just a really fun thing for me to be able to do. So if this is something that you are kind of intimidated by, I think that sorry, I'm reading the instructions. I think that you should just go for it. You know, if some things are going to be really, really good, and some things are going to be really, really bad. And you're going to learn what works and what doesn't work. I've made some like amazing things over time. I've also made some pretty awful things over time. So it just kind of is one of those things. I've really wanted to record cooking for a while because I'll make things and I have no idea how I made it because I literally don't measure, and I just like think of stuff and I'm like, oh, that would be good together. So I just like make stuff, you know? Let's see here. This says to okay. So, this basically, I think I'm gonna, again, I don't know. My plan is to make a calzone. So, what I'm gonna do is use this pan to kind of create the shape of the, should probably flour my hands a little bit. Okay, I have a bunch of different flours. For someone who doesn't bake, I have a lot of baking stuff. So I'm just going to use a little bit of coconut flour on my hands. I don't know if that's really like the best kind, but we'll see if it creates less stick. Okay. And this dough also from TJ's is vegan. Not that I'm vegan or my friends are not vegan either, but in case you are or you need something that has, the one thing that would be good for me for this is that it doesn't have any dairy in it. So that would actually be a good pick for me. Now, if you're gluten free, probably wouldn't necessarily be like the best choice, but definitely a good choice if you're vegan or dairy free. So what we're gonna do is just kind of spread the dough out into this pan. And what might end up happening is that I just make it like a pizza instead of a calzone. It might be a little easier that way. This is by no means a perfect process. It's, you know, as long as it tastes good. It doesn't have to necessarily be super duper pretty, although I do think presentation is really important. So we're just let this sit for a little while, right? It's already been sitting for a little bit at room temp while I was talking through that video in the beginning. Going through the haul for everything. So I'm gonna go ahead and one thing also I think is really important just to kind of keep in mind is to kind of clean up as you go. It's just a helpful tip that will make cooking a lot less, I think, overwhelming, because it can be quite messy when you are you know, preparing multiple things. And also keeping yourself organized. So, all right, so for this, I'm gonna use probably 3. Actually, I'll probably use 4. I just use 1 of these sausages in the egg because the egg already has protein in it. So I'll go ahead and take these and slice up 4. So these are already pre-cooked too, which is really cool. It really doesn't take, I guess, as long as I thought it was going to take, because it says to preheat the oven to 450, which we'll do right now. And then you only bake that dough for about 6 minutes. So what we'll do is I'm just going to slice these up into probably smaller pieces than that, just so that they distribute nicely inside the pizza and or calzone, whatever we end up making it. So we'll just slice these up, and I think I'm also maybe gonna do a little bit of onion in the calzone as well, just to kind of give it a little bit of robust flavor. Now these are sun-dried tomato. Sun-dried tomato chicken sausages. So they're low in fat, good amount of protein. I think the calories on these are pretty good too. It says they are, let's see, 110 calories, 6 grams of fat, 11 grams of protein. So pretty decent macros if you're counting macros. They're pretty flavorful. You could eat them. They were pre-cooked, so you could eat them if you wanted to, just cold, even if you wanted to. I know that might sound gross to some people, but if you're on the go a lot and you need just to kind of grab something and go, it's pretty good. They taste good and they're easy to eat. So go ahead and just slice these guys up. Let me take a little bit more of, again, they don't have to be perfect. They just want to be, I think I'm wanting just to kind of put them into a little bit of a smaller pieces, just to make it evenly distribute and make it easier to distribute. It's funny because I started cooking really like with health in mind probably about 12 years ago, maybe a little bit before then, but really what I remember is probably around that 2009 time frame is when I started kind of taking eating and my health more seriously. I used to struggle with eating well and eating mindfully or healthfully, and so it caused me a lot of issues in my life in regards to food. And so I mean, I cooked for a long time. I remember even in my early 20s cooking and trying to be more healthy, but it was never with an understanding. It was always with more from a place of just really wanting to change some of my habits, but not really understanding all the things that were a part of my habits. And I was, still unhealthy in my heart in a lot of ways. So it just really didn't stick the way that I think I wanted it to, which caused me some frustration over the years. 'Cause I felt like I was trying all these like diets and eating plans and, everything, and nothing really kind of stuck. So now I understand that just balance and consistency is really the answer to having a healthy lifestyle, especially when it comes to cooking and eating. Just, I think, having fun with food, but having fun with food in a way that honors your body, it honors your body's needs. Everybody's different, and so some people can have, different requirements than other people. So that's why I don't really believe in like dieting. I believe in understanding your body and understanding what your body needs in order to be its best, and then doing that. Okay, so I have the meat and the onion chopped up here. I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of spread this dough out a little bit more, that it's a little softer now, that it's kind of coming into more room temp. And yeah, I'm liking how that's looking. Now, if you are like me, I really love spice. I love spices. It doesn't have to be spicy, but I love flavor. So I have, like I mentioned before, a really nice spice cabinet. And I want to, kind of use those things. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just pop this open. Sorry for that mess behind me there. But what I'm going to do is, I should probably grab these all out at one time. Anything I think I might use, so that I only have to do this once. Bear with me. Ooh, another really good one, Nutritional Yeast. Bragg's has a great one too. I couldn't find it when I was shopping this last time, so I didn't grab that brand, but yeah, I'm sure you can hear I have a bunch of stuff coming out here, guys. Let me see. And I like to make my own blends. You know, you can buy like Italian seasoning and all those kinds of things. I really just like to make my own. That way I can kind of put in it what I want to and what amounts I want to. So I'm not really like hindered. Sorry. I'm not really hindered or limited. Okay, so now that we have this, I want to use some spices. So I pulled out some rosemary. I'm just gonna kind of fix this a little bit. Some rosemary. I'm just gonna kind of sprinkle some rosemary on here. And then what I want to do is just press that into the dough. Again, just kind of continue to massage this dough into the shape that I want it to be in, so that it's nice and distributed, but it doesn't have like really weak spots or too doughy of spots. I really want to evenly distribute that, but I really want to put in whatever I think is a good amount, and honestly I just kind of do what feels right. I don't really measure. This is oregano, so again, just kind of sprinkle that on there a little bit, kind of rub that in. It's a little scant over here. Just make sure it's evenly distributed, and then I'm going to add a little thyme. I cook normally by smelling. I know that might be a little weird, but the smells that go together in my mind, they usually taste really good together. So if it smells good to me, then I'll usually use it as a combination, even if it's not something that might typically be used together. And that's, again, just part of the fun experimentation process of it, right? Okay, so then I've had my Italian spices on here, which I can kind of put to the side for right now. I'm going to use them again in just a second when I do the pasta bake. But now what I want to do is I want to take this Alfredo sauce, and this is going to be the base for my pizza. I think I'm just going to make it a pizza. And get a spoon. And just kind of spoon it on. Now, we can use this later on. I'm not going to use this entire jar of Alfredo sauce. That would be really insane. So I'll start with just a little bit to start off and then add to it if I feel like I need it. But that's probably about a 1/4 cup or so, which is probably enough to spread it all around the crust. I might use one more spoonful here. Smells really good. I really wish I could eat real Alfredo. If I ever eat it, I have to make it non-dairy. It's definitely one of my favorite sauces. Okay. All right, so we'll just get that off over here. All right, then we're just gonna add our toppings. So we'll add the meat in here. And again, this was, you know, intended to be a calzone, but I think it's just gonna make a better pizza once we kind of started working with it. And that's another beautiful thing. You know, you can have a game plan and don't be afraid if it changes a little bit. Just do what's going to work best. And, you know, if you decide to do something in the future, then you can always, you know, make what you had intended to another time if during, you know, this meal plan prep, you kind of feel led to, I don't know, inspired to do something different. Okay, I'm going to add the onion, okay? And I know that you guys are probably thinking, like, why aren't you putting the cheese on? I like to do my pizzas a little backwards. I don't really think that it matters necessarily what combination you put them in. I think that if you just sort of make sure that it's all evenly distributed within the dish, then it's fine. I can sprinkle some cheese probably in the center now that I'm kind of more towards that part of it. Also, one thing that's really, I think, important, especially if you are a cook like me and have a very small space like I do, it needs to be very organized. It needs to have everything that you need within a reasonable reach, right? So it's really important. To me, I think just minimalism in general is the way to go. I don't believe in having like a whole bunch of stuff. I think like have what you need, have what you love, but after that, sort of, you know, like that's probably good. And I don't know, I just feel like you don't really need to have a lot of things. So for me, I think it's really important that it's kept really simple. Maybe I'll do a tour of the kitchen. It would literally take about 17 seconds. But because it's small and because I have very limited space, it needs to be very clean. It needs to be very organized. It needs to be very much about the essentials and what I use all the time. So I do have several small appliances that I use often, maybe not all the time, but I have everything that I use all the time within easy reach of, you know, where I'm cooking and cleaning and things like that. So Max is starting to smell the smells. I'm gonna add a little bit more cheese onto this and pop it into the oven. Okay, 6 to 8 minutes at 450. Let's go. Okay, so while that's cooking up, I'm gonna go ahead and clean up this little area here and get ready for the next thing, which I think I'm probably gonna make the egg cups. Actually, I'll just use one of my Trader Joe's bags as my trash can just to make things really easy. So I'll go ahead and put this back away. Now I have Alfredo sauce for another dish, maybe something I can make next week for them. Go ahead and chop up this piece of sausage for the egg cups. Now what I'll probably do is do a dozen eggs and then maybe half a dozen egg whites, and that should make probably, I mean, I can make a dozen, and that would last, you know, pretty much at least half the week. Now they also are fully capable of making their own stuff, so they do make, you know, cereal or oatmeal or just plain eggs or whatever also, but I wanted to be sure that I was giving them some decent breakfast options in case they were, you know, running out the door to school or to work and didn't have time to, you know, make oatmeal or even put together a bowl of cereal. I wanted to make it super easy for them, especially since it's like kind of getting colder lately, just to kind of have something to pop into the microwave and heat up so that it's ready to go for them out the door. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get one of my big bowls and I'm going to mix everything in a bowl. So it's really easy. So I'm going to take my meat and just pop it in the bowl. Okay. And then I'm going to take my eggs. Oh, I have them out already. I'm gonna take my eggs and go ahead and crack a whole dozen in there. Now, I think sometimes people really underestimate the power of the planning process and preparation. I think that so many people have these goals. Now it's January, so it's the beginning of 2022. A lot of people have goals to take better care of themselves and to eat better, maybe to lose weight, maybe to get in shape. Maybe that means for you, like it does for me. I'm already pretty fit, so getting in shape for me means building more muscle, so bulking. And you really have to have a plan in place. You have to have something that's going to create habits in your life so that you can actually become that version of yourself that's already inside you. And without a vision and without making habits, it's going to be hard to do that. I'm actually listening to an audiobook right now called Atomic Habits. Really fast. This is a great way to add protein without a lot of carbs or fat or sugar. So 3 tablespoons of nutritional yeast yields 8 grams of protein, only a half a gram of fat, and 5 grams of carbs. So this is like really great, and it gives, again, if you're vegan or if you're dairy free, it gives a cheesy flavor, which is really good. But yeah, like I was saying, you know, atomic habits, right? And so I'm also adding some smoked paprika. Habits are what is going to help you get to where you're going, right? Salt, black pepper, I'm gonna pick up this little lid that I dropped. I'll probably put my timer on. We'll do it for 6. It's probably been in there for about 2 minutes. Okay, and then I'm gonna probably pop in a couple of these black olives in here just to kind of give it a little bit of good fat for the egg cups. Again, I'm gonna use these for the burrito bowl, so I don't want to use too much of it. And then I want to add in some mushroom and 1 tomato, a little pepper. So yeah, I think that ultimately, if you're really trying to change, then you have to have systems in place to be able to make those things happen for yourself. And that's one thing that really makes so much sense to me, and it resonated with me so much when I heard it. And it's something that I think intrinsically kind of understood, but I don't know if I ever really was able to articulate that or to effectively put those kinds of things into place for the long haul. And so my purpose for 2022 is to really start implementing systems into my life that help me to become the person that I know I want to be. And that kind of person does certain things and lives a certain way and believes certain things and has certain mindsets, and she is the person that is already inside me that I want to bring out, right? So if you are someone who is wanting to live a healthier lifestyle or to get in shape, then you have to, like this book talks about, you have to start thinking about what would that kind of person do? Like, how would that person be? What would they choose? How would they spend their time? What would they, incorporate into their life? What would they look like? How would they function? Like, all those things go into mushrooms. All those things go into creating habits, and the habits are what produces the outcome. It's not so much the goal. And I thought that was like just such an interesting perspective, because we're such a goal-focused culture, success-driven, ambitious-driven culture, that I think that's probably why a lot of people get frustrated and end up not succeeding in the way that they want to, is because they don't really have a system in place for their goal. They just have a goal. And so it's not really a viable strategy to be able to create the outcome that you desire, because there's no vision behind it. It's just an idea. And so I think that's what is really very interesting, is when we can look at what we want to accomplish and envision ourselves being that person. Like the book talks about, it's more of an identity shift, and that's what creates a change, is when you can identify with something, and that could be good or bad. So you have to be very careful about like what your internal dialogue is, because what you believe about yourself, the Bible even says, from your heart the mouth speaks, and so as a man thinks, so is he. So it's very important that we mind our thoughts. It says in the Bible to take all thoughts captive and surrender them to the will of Jesus, and so, or to the obedience of Christ. And so we have to be mindful about how powerful our minds are, and to use them for our advantage, and to be able to help us understand and create the lives that we were meant to live. And we're fully capable of doing that because God created us with a plan and a purpose. And so if that's really the case, which it is, then that means nothing that he created for us is outside of our reach. So we have access. We have access to those things. Okay, right now I'm just adding in all the ingredients in the bowl, and I'm just kind of seeing like what it looks like and what I want to add. So I think I want it to be a little bit more liquid, so I'll probably add in at least half a dozen egg whites. I don't know if I'll add in any extra ingredients like this red pepper. I might add in a tiny bit of it just because I need to cut it up anyway. But I'm thinking that it probably won't need to be, and I think my pizza's almost done. I think it needs a little bit more time. We're gonna add a couple more minutes. So yeah, like I was saying, the life that we were created for is 100% within our reach. So we can't live believing that we aren't supposed to reach our potential, or that we can't reach our potential, because God made us so spectacularly, and he made us for a reason and a purpose. And if you really spend time with him, then he's going to reveal to you what those things are, so that you can walk it out in confidence, because you know that he made you to do it. So you don't have to question your ability. Sure, you might have to learn some new skill sets to really walk it out, because it might not be what you've done before, right? But that doesn't mean that you can't learn it. And if he's created you to do something, that means that you're going to have a grace on that learning. You're going to be able, he's going to give you the grace to learn what you need to, and empower you to learn the things that you need to, because he's already ordained them to be a part of your life, which is, I don't know, I just think it's so cool how we can just rely on him in that way, And he really does give us everything that we need when we're surrendered to him and we're walking in his will. He's going to give us the provision to do everything that he called us to do in order to walk it out. When we really desire his will above our will, he's going to give us his will. He's going to fulfill his will in our life, which is just such a comfort and an encouragement that we're not alone in any of it, and that he really does have a plan and a purpose, and he's more than willing to, sometimes it gets messy, you know, he's more than willing to reveal those things and kind of get us in the loop so that we're not out there just aimlessly questioning what we're supposed to be doing, you know. He doesn't want us wandering and wondering. He wants us to be sure. And he provides that for us when we walk with him and we ask him and when we invite him in to our lives in that way, which is just such an awesome gift. Okay, so I have a lot of stuff out right now, kind of taking up some space. So what I'm probably gonna do is pull this pizza out in a second and fill these egg cups up and then make some space so that I can move some things around. Now, typically I don't have everything out at one time, but since I'm kind of like recording this and sharing what I'm doing, it's a little bit different. So let me just check on this and see what I'm thinking. I think it still needs a little bit of time. Yeah, that dough needs a little bit more time. So I'm just gonna kind of put it on for a few minutes at a time and continue to check on it. And then we'll see how that goes. So I'm gonna go ahead, I think, and make some space because I have about 4 minutes until those are checked again. And I wanna make sure that I'm not cramming myself up over here. And I wanna give myself some space to be able to work. So just gonna make some room. I'll probably put most of this stuff back in the refrigerator just until I need it, because there's more room in there than there is in my little kitchen. Okay, that feels a little bit better. I'm probably going to do my pasta bake next. After I get my eggs put away. So what I'm going gonna do for this is just grab a muffin tin, and I'm going to spray my muffin tin. I like to use avocado oil because it has a higher heat point. Let's check on this pizza one more time. I think it's almost done. I'm gonna put it in for like another 4 or 5 minutes. Now we are, you know, working at altitude, so sometimes things do take a little longer. Like I said, I don't really bake. I honestly don't use my oven all that much, so I did make a pizza the other night, a barbecue chicken pizza with the Banza chickpea crust, and it was really, really good. And I used the chicken from Trader Joe's to do that. Okay, so I have just a measuring cup. I'm just gonna kind of come in and make sure that it's like well distributed. I don't want to put too much of any one thing into my cups, but I'm just gonna take them and just fill them up. This might make more than I thought, which is fine with me. Just fill them on up. Now, you could also put cheese in this if you really wanted to. I'm not putting cheese in these just because there's going to be cheese in so many other things. So just trying to give it a little bit of a varied flavor. That looks pretty good. There's a couple other ones that I can probably put a little bit more into. Nothing crazy. That one might be a little full. Okay. All right. So once this comes out, which that crust is now starting to brown up and look really good. So that's awesome. So I'm gonna put this just over here. And in the meantime, I'm also going to set out. Now I'm big on just like using things for multiple uses. Again, I have a small kitchen. I don't have a lot of space to just have all the things everywhere. I could, if I guess wanted to, I could use, again, double duty. I can use my air fryer bottom as a kind of like something to put something hot on. So I might put that on there because it does have some feet to put this pizza to let it cool. So I'm gonna do that, but I'm also big on just repurposing things. So could also use a dish towel just to kind of lay it underneath to give it some protection from, you know, being right on top of my countertop. So I'm gonna put the eggs over here until that comes out. And then I'm going to set this aside and boil some water for my pasta. So just gonna get my big pot. Make sure you fill your pot up with hot water. It makes it boil faster. Okay. So I'm going to, actually that's a little bit too much. I'm going to spray a little bit of oil in my water, and I'm going to salt my water. And then I'm gonna turn it on high and cover my pot. Okay, cover my pot. Now we have a few more seconds until this pizza is about to go off, so let's see what it looks like. Oh yeah. I think that's probably pretty good. This looks and smells delish. So I'm gonna put this right over here and just let that cool. Okay, so I'm gonna leave my oven on and I'm gonna turn it down to like 350 because the eggs don't need to cook at 450. So I'm just gonna turn it down and let that oven sit for a few minutes while my water is heating up. Keep it at 350. And let that cool down, but stay hot. Okay, now what I wanna do is probably gonna have a little bit of iced coffee. This coffee's almost gone. And I think what the next thing I want to do while my pasta is cooking, I'm gonna be using mostly pre-prepared stuff for the pasta bake. So I just use a full box of whole wheat pasta. It's inexpensive, nothing fancy. It's just, honestly, it's from Walmart. These are about $1 a box. This was something that I had from before, from our last trip a couple weeks ago. So it's just been sitting in my pantry. So pasta, I'll do a full box of pasta. And then from there, all I'm really gonna do is I'm gonna add ricotta cheese. I have vodka sauce from last time that I shopped. My friend does not like marinara, so I'm gonna use a vodka sauce. Okay, penne pasta. I'm gonna cook up some ground beef in a pan and ricotta and cheese, and that's basically it. It's really very simple. I'm gonna just cover it with tin foil and I'm gonna throw it into the oven. I might make 2 dishes of it just depending on how much. But what I'll probably end up doing is taking all the pasta and the cheese and the sauce and mixing it all together in a pan. That way I can see how much I need to add before I distribute it into the actual pan, and then I'll cover it with cheese. That's why I really like to do like one meal dinners, one pan dinners that I can kind of create all in just like what it's called, one pan. That way it's less to clean up. Again, I have a small kitchen, so to be mindful of how long things take to kind of clean back up again, how much of my stuff I'm actually needing to use at one point in time. So I try to keep things really simple, and so the one pot meals make it really simple without having to dirty a million dishes. So I will cook the meat in a separate pan, but it's fine because I'm going to be cooking meat in another pan anyways. And most of the meat that I'm using today is already cooked, so that's a bonus. Just gonna give that a little rinse because I got some flour in there earlier when I was doing flour. And then I'm gonna just move my tea kettle, and I think I might actually make myself another cup of coffee. This is the great thing about this, is that I can just do multiple things at one time. Okay, so I'm gonna spray my pan a little bit more with the avocado oil for my meat. And I am using organic grass-fed ground beef. It's 93.7, so it's pretty lean. I use my kitchen scissors for everything, so they're just so great to have on hand. If you don't have a pair, you should definitely get one. Okay, and go ahead and turn on, normally I would turn that burner on ahead of time. I wasn't paying attention. All good. Turn it on like medium. Roll up my sleeves, getting into the cooking groove. You know what I mean? Cooking groove. I have a cooking groove. It's always a cooking groove when it comes to cooking for me. I just like to do it. It makes me happy. You know, cooking is one of those things that's like, what brings you joy? Cooking brings me joy. And it can be so funny because, you know, the enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy. John 10:10. That verse has come up so much lately for me. I'm going to open this up really fast. And actually, I don't need to open that up. Just kidding. That verse has come up a ton for me. And I really believe it's because, like, it's just something that the Lord is wanting us to see. It's in small things. You know, when we hear that verse, it might be something that we're thinking that's like always a big thing, you know? But it's to steal our joy, to steal our peace, to like kill our motivation, to, you know, get us in these mindsets of being like, ugh, I hate doing this, and like, ugh, it's so hard to eat healthier, ugh, it's so hard to cook, and it's just so much easier to just go through and get takeout. Or honestly, I haven't had takeout in a while. All of November, I did a no spin November, so I didn't even eat out of my house at all in November, except I think maybe like a couple of coffees that I did not buy. But I really don't eat out hardly ever, and it's good because, oh, I wanted to get my coffee. That's why. It is really good because something is burning on that burner. It's good because I save a lot of money, and it's better for me to stick to my health, you know, goals. Also, if you're looking for a really delicious instant coffee, you guys, it's like $3.50 at Trader Joe's. It has literally the best flavor. It's so good. It's so good. And the way that I like mine, I just take this, a tablespoon of coffee, and about a half a cup of oat milk. Hot water, and it's literally ready that fast, and it's so delicious. It's really so good. Just give it a little whirl. Yum. Okay, so my meat is now cooking. My oven's at 350. I'm going to just add, just because I'm really feeling like I want to add a little bit of green to these cups. I'm going to cut some green onion. Just a little bit. You don't need a lot. I'm going to be using these for other things as well, so I need to kind of use them sparingly. TJ's did not have any green onions, so I have to use the one from my personal. Just sprinkle some green on there, you know, make it feel fresh and good. Okay, so I'm going to just toss these in probably for about 6 or 7 minutes. My water's boiling, so I can put that in there. I'm going to put some on the top shelf. so I can keep a good eye on them. Put my timer on for about probably 6 minutes and just see what they look like. Go ahead and take my water. Take my pasta, just dump it in, you know, simple stuff. Nothing earth-shattering. Go ahead and start breaking up some of this meat. Anyway, like I was saying before, you know, it's really interesting to me how things that bring joy can be easily just sort of like made into such a hassle, you know? Like eating well, or grocery shopping, or cooking, or meal planning, or counting macros, and it's just like, that stuff is not hard. You just have to do it, you know? It really is not difficult. You just have to do it. And if you enjoy it, let's see, 10 to 12, perfect. You check on my dog. He's sleeping. So yeah, it's like, I just remember so many seasons of my life where, you know, I would just make excuses for not cooking healthy meals and just would like eat out all the time, which was not honoring my budget. It wasn't honoring my body. It wasn't honoring the vision for the life that I wanted to live. I struggled with weight. I struggled with eating. I struggled with food. I struggled with money, you know, and it was just one of those things that it really ties back into kill, steal, destroy. And it's so funny that, like, I'm not one of those kinds of people who's like, oh, there's a demon behind every doorway, but I do believe that we struggle not with flesh and blood, but with principalities and dark powers of this age, that it is a spiritual war, that we are in a spiritual war, that we are spiritual beings in flesh. And so, you know, I just think that we have to be so cognizant of the small things that we might overlook when it comes to our life and like how we see things and what we experience and, you know, what we allow in and how we just believe, I think in general, of who we are. And, you know, it's easy to allow the enemy to steal what makes you joyful and happy and what fills you up if your identity is not rooted in Jesus, if it's not rooted in who you really are, if it's not rooted in the truth about what God says about you and who he's created you to be. Like, it's just gonna be easy to fall prey to that kind of tactic when that's the case, you know? Now, I'm not gonna cook this meat completely all the way through because it's gonna go into the oven. So I'm probably cooking it to like a good solid medium well. I don't want it to get dried out though. And it's already lean, it's 7% fat, so I don't want to overcook it on the stove before I throw it in the oven. I want it to maintain its juicy goodness. Now, while it's still kind of like on the burner, but not like really on anymore. Also, if you have a gas range, just be so grateful for that, because electric ranges, while they're amazing and they still work, gas is just so much better. Because when you turn the heat off, the heat is off, you know? It's not still radiating like it does on an electric stove. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of rosemary to my meat while it's kind of settling and waiting for a few minutes to the next step. And then in the meantime, what I'm going to do, oh yeah, this pizza turned out really nice. What I'm gonna do in the meantime is go ahead and grab out a couple of my other key requirements. I have a strainer. I'm gonna go ahead and get one of these. I'll probably need actually this I probably need this size dish, but I only have my one large Pyrex and my smaller Pyrex. So what I might end up doing is go ahead and take out the pizza and just reuse that big one for my pasta and put the pizza on a tin foil. I'm gonna be cutting it up and putting it in packages anyways, so it's probably fine like that. Okay, my egg cups are probably about halfway done, so that would be another, let's say, another 4 minutes, which then would add another 4 minutes for my pasta, which is fine. We're only about a quarter of the way done with the pasta right now. So that gives me about 8 minutes to let my pizza finish cooling before I take it out of that pan, which is probably gonna be what I do. Now, in the meantime, hi Bubs, I do have about 8 minutes before I have to do anything else. I have to wash my hands now. Go lay down. Go lay down. Go lay down. Go. Out. 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 Lay down, Mom. I do have about 8 minutes though, so what I could do in the meantime is I can make snack packs. They are literally my favorite, and they're so simple to make. So what I think I might do is, like I mentioned before, just set that aside over there. And now this stovetop is kind of hot, and I am going to be using containers. So what I'll do is just transfer all of my little things that I'm not currently using over. This will be part of this. My coffee can sit on the hot, that way it stays hot. Okay, so what we do is we buy containers off of Amazon. Now, these guys right here, I think we're from Target, and they have compartments, okay? So they work great for the snack packs. I'm going to make her 7 of them, so 1 for every day. And what I'll do is kind of stage them out. I'll do kind of half and half. Now I use a scale all the time because, again, I'm counting macros. So it's important for me to do that for myself, but in order to, kind of keep things to their portion sizes, because I'm not just willy-nilly putting things together for them. I'm trying to keep it, within like a healthy portion, because I am using a varied amount of different kinds of foods that aren't necessarily super healthy and clean. Not that they're not, but it's not what you might typically think of like, oh, a clean eating plan, right? So let me check on these guys really fast. Ooh, they're almost there. I think I'm gonna put them on for another 2 minutes. So that means another 4 minutes on this. Okay, coming along nice. So like a serving size for these nuts is a 1/4 cup. So I'll just grab a 1/4 cup, or I could weigh them if I wanted precise. For me personally, since I'm literally counting macros and every gram matters, I would weigh this. So I would weigh out 29 grams on my scale. So I make sure that I'm getting the actual portion size. But since that's not really necessary for my friend, I'll just, scoop out a 1/4 cup of nuts. And this little bag is like $3.99 at Trader Joe's, and it has 8 servings of nuts in it. So it's really great if you're trying to kind of be on a budget, because nuts can be expensive. if you're trying to kind of be on a budget and, you know, but also have something you can use throughout the whole course of the week, those are great because they're like really inexpensive and they taste good, and there's a mixture. So there are almonds and cashews in here, and all that's on them. Seasoning, sesame seeds, black sesame seeds, salt, poppy seeds, corn syrup solids, which is not the best, but you know, and then sunflower oil. So pretty decent, and they taste good. They taste really good. All right, so I'm gonna check on these. We have 15 seconds. I think it probably needs another 2 minutes, which is gonna be exactly when my pasta is done as well. So we'll just start that. So let me grab these mangoes. Now she asks for, you know, just good things to snack on. I never in my whole life have I ever met a person that literally just eats mangoes, just raw, frozen, whatever. But she does, and she loves them. So we'll just go ahead and fill this little portion up right here with some mango pieces for her. And I think that these 2 packages that I bought will probably be just about perfect for her 7 portions. One might end up being a little scant, but that's okay. Maybe there's something else in there for some oranges or banana or something like that. Let's look at these. All right, so that's the last minute of cooking there. It might need to go 1 more minute after this, but we have less than a minute for the pasta. So we'll go ahead and prepare for that. So snack tacks can really be done so many different ways. This time I'm using ham, a few different kinds of cheeses because she's like really into cheese and citrus right now, and then nuts. So you can use any kind of nuts. Last time I did chili roasted pistachios with sharp cheddar and ham and strawberries for her fruit. This time I'm using the blend for the cashews and the almonds, ham, probably a couple different kinds of cheeses, and then the mango, just because it's like a more of a mild palate, so she can kind of have it as, you know, she wants to. I probably won't put sharp cheddar in this. I'll probably do Havarti and Gouda for the cheeses. Okay, so let me see these egg guys. I think that they need a couple more minutes. I'm gonna put these guys on for another 2 minutes and just see what they look like. In the meantime, I'm going to turn my burner off. I'm gonna grab my water, my pasta, and go ahead and dump it. Now, you could cook it a little bit less because you are going to be basically putting it back into the oven, but the oven is going to be a very short period of time, only because like everything is kind of already cooked. It's just kind of to heat things through. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and rinse your pasta. And then kind of make sure it's drained really well. You know what I mean? Like, shake it out. Okay. Maybe don't fill your eggs up quite as much as I did. They're kind of bubbling over. But they look really good and they smell good. So, spoon, kind of get the excess water off of your noodles. You don't want anything to be watery because it's going to be going into that dish, right? So go ahead and take that and then grab your meat and dump that in as well. Give your pan a good scrape to get all that, like, the browning off of the bottom. I'm gonna kind of stir that in just just to sort of see what we're working with. Let's check these eggs. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna put them on there for another good 4 or 5 minutes. Like, they're really starting to bubble up and come through, but the middle is still very eggy. So I'm gonna just kind of throw them on, and we'll try 4 minutes and see what happens then. I'm getting a little hot, so I'm gonna open the window. It's actually kind of snowing outside, but well, it looks like it's going to. It's not actually snowing. But that window needs to be opened. Let some fresh air flow through, you know what I mean. Okay, so I'm putting the pasta and the meat. This is really hot still. So pasta and the meat, okay, super simple. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take the ricotta, and I'm going to take my vodka sauce, okay? And those are gonna be the main components for what we're putting in here. So what I wanna do first is add the ricotta and mix that through really well. I'm probably gonna use this entire thing. That was my plan. So let's go ahead and kind of spoon this in. It's just like regular full fat ricotta cheese, whole milk, okay? It adds a lot of really good flavor and a decent amount of fat. Not really so much protein. It's 7 grams of fat and 4 grams of protein. So it's a decent amount of protein, but like definitely way more fat. And it has the same amount of protein and carbs, 4 grams. So 1 container of that. Kind of just mix that in. Now again, this burner is not on. It's just hot still because it's an electric stove. So it'll help to kind of melt down this ricotta really nicely without having to have the burner on. My pot is still really hot. My handles are still really hot because it's all metal. Okay, this is looking divine. Oh yeah. Super yummy looking. Okay guys, let me show you this beauty right here. Yum. Okay. Then let's see. I think a sip of coffee is in order. Let's let that sit for a second. And then I'm gonna season it. Again, I'm gonna put some rosemary in here. I'm gonna be liberal with it, you know? I'm gonna be generous with it. Then I'm gonna do a decent amount of oregano also. And a little bit of thyme, like just a small amount of thyme. It doesn't take a lot. Okay, we have another 45 seconds on these eggs. They're looking really good. They're bubbling up nicely. They actually look like legit muffins, but I think they still need like another 4 minutes. I'm not even sure where we are right now. I think we're at 4, 4, 8, maybe 16 total-ish by the time we're all done. I think it's around 16 minutes. Okay, so then now we have this nice and seasoned, okay? And now I'm going to just take this entire can or jar and just dump it in there. Just dump it on in there. Okay. And so I want to make sure we get all of it. I'm gonna close it up and just let it sit on its end for a few minutes. I'm gonna mix this in. Just make sure that I don't want to add anything else to it. This looks really awesome. Consistency is good. It's not gonna be dry. It'll be nice and saucy, nice and cheesy. Oh yeah. Definitely. Okay, so then while we're doing that, what I'm gonna do is gonna move this over here, And basically, I think what I'm gonna do is just I think this is gonna be too small. I don't think this is big enough for all of that pasta. It's gonna come over it for sure. And I don't wanna cook it twice. So what I'm gonna do instead is go ahead and take this out and put it on some tin foil, because I'm going to be portioning it anyways into containers. So go ahead and do this, grab my spatula, and then just kind of, you know, get it out. Oh yeah, that's beautiful. Look at that. Okay, and now I have my pan that I can immediately use. I don't need to even really rinse it out. There's a little bit of residue there, but it's literally like the same ingredients, except for that has a tiny bit of Alfredo sauce, but like I'm not even gonna worry about it. So simple, so simple, so simple, seriously. Okay, now what I'm gonna do, I am gonna spray my pan just because I don't want the pasta to stick to it, and I want to make sure that it's, you know, easy to get out. Although it should, because it has a good amount of oil in it from the cheese and things like that. So, all right, let me come back to this. This is really fun. This is a super long video, but I don't even care. Like, you'll watch if you want to watch, and if you don't, that's okay too. Okay, all right, awesome. So, take this pasta and just give it a good old dump. And then we really want to scrape out all that goodness in here. You don't want to lose any of the moisture that the sauce provides. Okay, who else like dry pasta is like the worst when it's baked, you know what I mean? It's just like, ugh. Okay. So go ahead and like get that down. Oh my gosh, you guys, I wish you could like see this in real life, like in person. It's so pretty and it smells amazing. Okay, let's put a pause on that for a second and check on these eggs. I mean, they're really close to being done. I would probably say I'm gonna give them another 1 minute. It's gonna count down immediately, but that'll give me time to do this. So I'm gonna take this and take the rest of this mozzarella cheese and just sprinkle it on there. I mean, did you literally see how easy that was? It's not hard. You don't need a lot of cheese on the top either. That's the cool thing, because you already have so much ricotta, and like in the vodka sauce it has cream in it too, so there's already a lot of dairy in this dish, so you don't need to like kill it with cheese. This is probably about like, I don't know, maybe like a third of a bag, maybe. Okay, let's check to see if the eggs are ready. They really smell like really good. I think these are like perfect. You guys, yum. I might have to make some of those for myself. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna like poke, I don't have any toothpicks, which I guess I probably should at least get like one long one, but I'm gonna poke a knife, just the tip of a knife, into probably one of the center ones, just to kind of see Oh yeah, those are good. They come out clean. Perfect. So now I can take this and put it right onto where I had that pizza before. And let those items just cool right over there, okay? Yes, so good. Okay, so let's see. Let's go back over here. So now we have this pasta bake. It's already pretty much cooked. I don't really need to cover it because everything is already cooked inside of it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna throw it into the oven at I'm actually gonna make this at 375 for the, I'm gonna do a 375 preheat for this. And while that's preheating, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna work on my snack packs. So what we wanna do next is, since we have this in here, we wanna put the cheese and we wanna put the meat. So I have Gouda and Havarti. I think this will go nicely with this palette. And then I have this Columbus ham, like I showed you guys earlier. And each serving is 2 ounces. There are 4, so that'll be 2 packs, gives her a full week. And so it gives her, you know, a decent little protein punch for a snack. I don't know if this is necessarily like, end this up, meal worthy or not. I don't know if it would be like meal worthy, but it definitely is snack worthy. So what I want to do, because I am using I want to use my scale, which I took out already. So my scale is here, and I want to do two ounces per. Now my oven is ready at 375, so I'm gonna go ahead and just pop this in. I'm gonna put it on the upper rack, and I'm probably gonna just throw it in there for about 15 minutes, but I'm gonna check on it. So I'll do it for 10. And then I'll check on it, and then we can adjust it, because again, it's already cooked. So I'm just kind of like melting the cheese and like letting all the flavors kind of combine. So there are 2 ounces, okay? So 1 pack actually gives the whole week. I'm going to probably just deliver another pack of ham to them, so that if they want to make sandwiches or whatever, then they have lunch meat. But for the sake of snack packs, we're gonna put 2 ounces of ham in each one for her. Okay, so I just have my little plate on my scale, and I will just weigh out 2 ounces. If my scale will work correctly. Hang on a sec. Okay, let's try this again. Maybe because it was sitting on my stove. Okay, let's try that. 1.65. I'm just gonna roll these guys up, and that way she can pull it out. It's easy to eat, and they're cute. It looks cute, which I'm all about, like form and function, right? Presentation is important. I do believe that. I believe that if it's attractive, that you're more likely to, I don't know, do it, versus if it's just like slopped together and sort of unintentional or just sort of mindless. I just think that it's especially if you're trying to eat healthy, because sometimes healthy food can feel boring So if you're not presenting it like in an attractive way, then you might not be likely to like do it. You know what I mean? If it just feels kind of blasé, you might not be inclined when like a burger from Sonic looks much more appealing, or, you know, pizza or even a burrito or something like that looks so much more. And I'm not saying that you can't have those things if you're on a healthy diet. I believe you can have anything you want in moderation as long as it fits what your goals are. Like right now, I can eat burritos if I want to, which is such a gift, but probably in the next couple of months, while I'm in a different season, I won't be able to eat burritos like I could now. So it just depends on what your goals are, what your vision is, who you're trying to become. But the point of that was make it attractive for yourself. These are kind of wonky. These guys are a little bit wonky in this package. So not all of these are going to be super cute because they're kind of a mess. Thanks. Okay. I'm just going to take the last of these guys and roll them up. This is really kind of like a ugly package of ham, Columbus. What's going on? Normally they pull apart much easier. They're not so ratchet looking. Okay. Go ahead and get rid of this package here. And then I'm gonna do a couple pieces of cheese in each one. Now these are really good protein. One slice is 5 grams of protein. So what I'm probably gonna do is give her 2 slices per snack pack. That way she gets 10 grams of protein from just the cheese. And then on top of that, she'll get the protein from the ham as well. So go ahead and just take that off for her there. And again, I'm using Havarti, and I'll just get a little knife. Let's get my little paring knife and slice up some slices. Now last time I used cubes, which you totally could use. This time I'm using slices just because we have them, and I think that the flavors will be better than the sharp cheddar with the mango and the ham. Now I could be totally wrong, that sharp cheddar cubes might be bomb, but this is just what I'm feeling right now. This is what I'm inspired to do, so this is what I'm doing. All right. Okay. I would love to know if anybody who watches this, if you actually end up making snack packs for yourself. I honestly should probably make these for my own self, but I don't eat cheese, and so it's like part of it is just that easy go-to, you know, of like ham or meat and cheese and then nuts and fruit. It's like a charcuterie on the go. I guess you could call it that if you want it to be more sophisticated than a snack pack. whatever you want to call it. But yeah, crackers would be kind of cool with this too, but we're not doing crackers, we're just doing this. So, or even some dried fruit would be nice, which I do have dried fruit in my pantry. I really like this cranberry cherry raisin blend from Trader Joe's. It's really good. Or their dried cranberries are also good. I like to put that in my oatmeal along with granola. Okay, so that's half of those. So let's go ahead and lid these up and make space. Now, you might be wondering like why I'm not cooking anything else. The cool thing is I kind of don't have to. It's more, right at this point, kind of more about assembly. And that's why I really like that pre-cooked chicken, because you don't have to like spend a lot of time doing other things. I do need to make some rice, but I'll wash out my pan from my pasta first and then make some rice in that. But for right now, snack packs. Let me grab out the other ham and other mangoes so I can make the last few of these guys. And again, it's really just assembling, and it's really not that complicated. I think this is pretty good at 10 minutes. I think I'm gonna leave it there. So what I'll do is I'm just gonna move my eggs over. And so I have some space to kind of pop those on that same little metal piece slash cooling rack and it comes out in 25 seconds. Let's see what we can get done in 25 seconds. Ooh, that had a lot of the spices on the bottom. Lucky for her, I have some more of these in my own pantry. Isn't that cool? Okay, go ahead and grab this guy out and see what it looks like. Oh my goodness. This looks so good. Yum. Wow. Wow. You know that the wow, you can really dance. It's like, wow, you can really cook. Wow, you can really meal prep. Let's make a new viral trend. Okay, so while that is cooling, I don't think I really need to use my oven for anything else, and thank goodness, because it is hot up in here. So I'm going to turn this off now. Okay, it is 12:40. I've been cooking for 1 hour and 40 minutes. I might not make my 2-hour goal, but I'll probably make 2.5. So that's really good actually. And I'm okay with that. Because again, it's going to mostly be now just assembling. Besides rice, I don't really need to cook anything else. And I'm cool with that. And I think I have at least one more serving of those nuts in my own pantry, so I can take out of my stockpile. Friends don't let friends go hungry. Look at my Bubba over there being such a good boy. Cashews also up here that I think I'm just gonna add in because these last two little scoops were a little not great, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna just toss in some extra cashews. There we go. That looks better. All right. Pop this ham in here, and then these guys are done, and then I'm gonna start kind of cleaning up a little bit, and then we can start assembling the rest of the stuff. So for here, I'm gonna use, this meat looks a lot better. This is like coming apart much easier. So we'll do basically 3 slices per little snack pack. The thing is about my friend too, she really doesn't like eat a whole lot, even though she really should eat a lot more. Well, not like a lot more. You know, pregnancy, you only need 300 to 500 calories more than you would normally eat above your TDEE, which is your daily expenditure. And so I'm just trying to help her, you know, stay within that range so she can feed that baby, you know, let that baby grow. She's having a girl, which is so exciting. Okay, I'm just gonna use, I think, all of these 2 packages. I know I mentioned before them kind of having like lunch meat left over for sandwiches. Well, that's not true. So what we'll do instead, I'll just give all of these to baby Cadence and her mom. One snack pack will have 1 extra piece of ham, which is like a bonus ham, you know? That one's kind of ugly though, and so maybe it's more like a regular ham. All right. Go ahead and grab a couple more pieces of these cheese. Okay, that one's done. 2 more, you guys, and we're finished with the snack packs. And then we can start assembling the other bowls. I'll probably cook the rice while I'm cleaning up, just to kind of double my efforts and kind of save on some time. Because I do need to wash that big pot out that I used for the pasta for my rice. But honestly, I use 5-minute rice. I don't use, you know, like it doesn't take long to cook it. So it just needs to boil the water and then dump the rice in and let it sit. Again, I'm about efficiency. The macros aren't that, you know, any different that I'm aware of anyways. And I want it to be easy to do. Okay, so last snack packs of the day. Being packaged here live. neighbor just walked by. Good thing I wasn't talking to my camera all by myself in my kitchen. Hey, Bubba, it's okay. He's my watchdog. So, it's okay. Yeah, he actually never ever barks, ever. It's really actually kind of funny. Bubba, it's okay. Come here, have some cheese. And I don't really feed him food like that ever either, but it was melting. So I figured instead of throwing it away, I would throw it into his mouth. Okay. It's okay, Bubba. All right, so while I kind of clean up, I'm just going to kind of move this over here so we can continue to hanging out while I'm washing the dishes. So the one thing that I haven't made that I probably will hold off on making is the steak. It's gonna be fine to sit in the fridge for a couple of days. And then, you know, this is already a lot of food, and I'm wondering if maybe we shouldn't hold off on making the steak until Wednesday. So, but I'll make that call in a few minutes. I'm just gonna clean up and see where we are, and then see what feels like an appropriate amount of food for them once I kind of package stuff up, because I might actually need to make it still, but I still have burrito bowls and I have Greek bowls to make. So I might only need to make one of those and not both of those, because I have pasta, eggs, pizza. Probably make both of those bowls. I'm gonna wash this pot really fast so I can make some rice. In the dishwasher that I don't need anymore, because I'm done with these utensils. I'm done with what I'm doing over here with them, so no real need to keep them out. Again, I like to clean up as I go, just so that it makes it easier, because again, I have a small kitchen and it's very easy for it to feel 100% trashed, you know what I mean? So that's why I want to kind of keep it cleaned up as I'm doing things. So that it doesn't feel overwhelming, because it can feel very overwhelming. Good boy, buddies. Also, shout out to my Aunt Babs, who's probably one of the people watching this video. How funny is that? Sorry I'm late. I didn't want to come. Although normally I'll just say I don't want to come if I don't want to come. Mostly. Okay, let's wash this pot so we can make some rice. sure did. It was getting real minimal. There we go. Oh yeah. Okay. This is a really long video, and it'll be interesting to see who actually watches this. Maybe no one. It's okay though. Also, I cut my hair this week, and I'm really loving how it's growing out. I can't wait till it gets a little longer. It kind of looks like I have a mullet, but it's cool. I don't mind. Okay, so this is just some rice that I picked up from the store the other day. Literally, you boil water, add the rice, wait 5 minutes until it's absorbed, and fluff it. It's like super easy. I could do other stuff while I'm kind of doing that. So let's see. I'm gonna take 6 servings, which is 3 cups and 3 cups of water. So I'm gonna boil the water first. I do have 1 cup, but I don't know where it is right now. It's somewhere. I think it might be in my dishwasher. Probably need to use for beans and whatnot, so we'll leave those guys out. Okay. Go ahead and get this water on boil. Again, I'm going to just spray a little oil and do a little salt. And then what I'll probably do is go ahead and just get this measured out. So I'm not doing it when it is boiling. I just need 3 cups. Move this back. Let's say 3 cups of rice. So it's a nice 1-to-1 ratio. Pretty much this entire box. Okay, put that in there. Now, what I'm gonna do next is go ahead and open up all of my beans. I want to say that I think the Greek one would be the one I should do first, just because the seasonings in that are a little bit more bland and they'll be easy to kind of like rinse out of my pan. I am going to just toss my chicken in the spices just to kind of like combine them all through so that they don't get lost, right? Because we don't want to have lost flavors in these. So with that, I actually do need to wash this pan also. Okay, now this water's boiling, so I can go ahead and take that off and dump that in. Give it a good stir. And I think they said wait 5 minutes. Okay, so I can just remove it from the heat. Put it back there. That is a hot pot. When am I gonna learn? You know, when am I gonna learn? Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and have a sip of coffee. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna grab the chicken out of the fridge. And I'm just gonna dump this entire pound into the pan. I'm gonna do a little bit of oil just to sort of like, you know, create like a moisture. I'm gonna put it on very low heat because it's already cooked. I don't want to overcook the chicken. I'm just trying to add some of this flavor because there's literally nothing on it except for salt and pepper. Okay. Now this is a spice I've had for a while. Oh, this is the adobo. Hang on. Where's my Greek seasoning? Oh no. I know I didn't use it all. Okay, well maybe we'll make the burrito bowls first then. Doesn't really matter. I really don't know where my Greek seasoning is. That makes me a little sad because I just used it. My kitchen's really little, so there's only so many places it can be. And I don't see it any of those places, which is a little very interesting, friends. Very interesting indeed. Well, change of plans. We're gonna use this adobo seasoning. And call it good. You know what? It's not gonna matter all that much. I mean, adobo and Greek is not really the same, but I think with all the other flavors going on, the hummus, the tzatziki, the Kalamata olives, chickpeas, all that. Pita bread, it'll be okay. Okay, so basically that's all I want to do with that. Now I'm gonna go grab some containers. I'm gonna make 4 because there's a 1 pound, so it's about 4 ounces of meat per, okay? Now I could probably make a couple more, but I don't know if I need to make a couple more or not, because again, this is for the next several days. Today's already Sunday, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then I'll be cooking again on Wednesday. So I probably don't need anything more than this. I think 4 is good enough for this dish. And my rice is pretty much done. I'll just give this a quick fluff and stir. Probably needs another maybe a minute or 2, so I'll just keep that covered for now. Just let that finish. And in the meantime, I can do other stuff. I can open up my chickpeas and grab the Kalamata olives and everything like that out of the fridge. So I'm just gonna use, now there are 3 servings per container. So what we'll probably do is just do 1/2 cup instead of 1/4 cup on these instead, or 3/4 cup. So extend it to 4. Just drain these out. Okay. These little cans lately are just like, I need to be so rebellious. I'm being opened. Oh my goodness. So it's like one little area right here. There we go. Perseverance, you know what I mean? Okay. Let me grab the olives. Look at my cute Bubba. You see how cute he is? He's too cute. I'm probably gonna slice up some tomato too, because if they put this like in the, if they reheat this, I don't want them to reheat the tomato or the cucumber, so I'll probably do a cucumber tomato like on the side in like its own container, so they can just like scoop it in as they're putting these together. If they're gonna go on the go, they might just forego the tomato and the cucumber. All right, this rice should be done now. So I'm just gonna scoop 1/2 cup of rice into each bowl, okay? And that should leave enough for the Mexican bowls also. And then I want to do, now it does say 3/4 cup, so I'm gonna do a 1/2 cup for each bowl. I like how it tells you lies on the container. Okay, so we're gonna take some of these out and distribute some of these with the gonna take from the rich. Just kidding. All right, here we go. So that's good for that. Okay, go and get rid of this. And then now what I want to do is take each one, get my scale back out. This is where I love my scale. And then for each one, just do a 4-ounce serving of chicken. I like getting it right on the mark. Okay. Bowls are like one of my favorites for just quick meals, because it literally is like, they're just so easy and they're really good. You know, you can literally make any kind of bowl that you want, and it's just so versatile. Really versatile. Okay. All right, so now that we have like the standard for that, now what we can do is they can add the tzatziki, the hummus, the pita, the, you know, cucumber and all that. You can eat this cold, but I would recommend, like, you know, heating it back up a little bit and then putting the cold toppings on top of it. So for these, I'm just gonna go ahead and package them. And then everything else will just kind of be on the side. I don't want to, you know, heat tzatziki sauce up or hummus. These are the wrong lids. So I guess what I could do if I really wanted to is I could create like a 2-part Greek bowl where, you know, each one would have its own tzatziki, hummus, all that, which I might actually do. That's actually a good idea. I think I'm gonna do that. It might take a little bit more time, but I think in the end it would be better, right? Just because it makes more sense for what we're actually doing. Okay, so and that way they can kind of like dump one into the other, or, you know, whatever. So then I need my cutting board again. And I need my then I can get my cucumbers, my tomato, do these guys first. So one thing I really enjoy is just like making different foods from different cultures. So I really like doing Japanese food or Indian food or Thai food or Mexican food or Greek food like we're doing today. Italian, obviously. But I just think it's fun to be able to experiment with just different flavors, you know, and different taste palettes. Like I just really like it a lot. I just think it's like really fun to be able to not have your standard, I mean, I don't really know what people's standards are when it comes to their cooking and what people make, you know, basic chicken and broccoli and rice, and which is nothing wrong with that, but your diet should be colorful and it should be interesting and it should be good so you eat it. God gave us so many beautiful gifts in the earth when it comes to different fruits and vegetables. You know, I think it's a shame that we don't explore more with them. Again, I love these little cucumbers. I'm just gonna do 1 cucumber per bowl. Look how cute they are. Like, it's so cute. I'm gonna do these, I guess, probably in smaller bites just so that they're easier to incorporate in with the meat. Just go half. So, some of my favorites though, my favorite things to cook are probably like Asian, so anything from like Japanese to, I really have been getting into like Thai food and Korean, like fusion kind of, not like authentic recipes or anything like that, but just like flavors of those types of foods. And I think they're really fun to play with. They can be spicy or they can just be flavorful. I typically like spicy stuff, but I know like not everybody does, and so I kind of actually enjoy the challenge of having to create flavor other ways than just besides spice. I think it's really fun just to, again, experiment and explore, and some things are really good and some things aren't. It just kind of depends on, you know, what you're putting together and what your preferences are. Maybe next time I'll do a live. So people can come on as they want to, and it's not like just a 2-hour long video. I mean, although it would be at the end, right? It would still be a 2-hour long video. 2 hours and 11 minutes long. I don't think I'm gonna edit this. I think I'm just gonna put it up. Whoever wants to watch it or skip through it or whatever, do as they wish. You know what I mean? I also think these cucumbers are small enough to put in a plastic bag, which is pretty handy considering that I'm going to be giving it to them for like other snack stuff later. So that's cool. At least it's not, you know, having to be wrapped in like a bunch of saran wrap or something. Okay, and then now the olives. Now this is just 9 olives. I'm just gonna use tablespoon and just scoop out a couple tablespoons of this. Oops. Because we're also going to be adding the tzatziki and the hummus in these bowls. So that all the cold ingredients are together in its own bowl. And the feta also. So this is a quarter cup is a serving of feta cheese. So we'll just do a little quarter cup serving in each one of these. And the trash bag is getting full. Okay, I'm just gonna kind of sprinkle the remnants in that. Use that whole package. Don't want to waste anything. And then a serving size of tzatziki is 2 tablespoons. So we'll do a couple of tablespoons of tzatziki sauce. Now I'm going to be giving them all of these as well. So you know, if they want to add whatever to their stuff, they have the, you know, the opportunity to do that. I'm gonna give 2 really healthy spoonfuls per. I know my people. I know they like sauces. I'm a very saucy person. I love sauces on things, so I'm like, put that sauce on there, don't be stingy, you know? And I'm loving it right now because I know I keep mentioning this bulk, but it's like such a huge part of my life right now. It literally like affects every aspect. 2 tablespoons of hummus also. So I just love it that in this season that I actually get to like kind of, I don't know, indulge in that kind of stuff, I guess. Like not worrying about it completely, because obviously I still have to be mindful. It's a clean bulk, so I'm not just eating whatever. I'm still counting macros and making sure things are balanced and on point according to like in the prescription from my coach. And I do have a coach. It makes a huge difference. I would not want to do what I'm doing on my own, trying to figure it out. And I mean, now that I know what I'm doing, it's a little different because I could do it again on my own, but because I have the, you know, the tools and the resources and the know-how. But before this, I would not want to do it on my own. I've been too afraid to gain weight, even though it's strategic weight gain. That really freaked me out for a long time. But now I see like how much my body has changed and like the positive with more weight on, because I'm building so much muscle, and like I'm still wearing the same clothes and everything, so it's kind of cool. I'm definitely like bigger, thicker, but like not in a bad way. So that's really kind of cool. It's definitely different than what I thought it would be. Okay, I'm really glad I did that. That makes a huge, I think that makes a huge difference. That way they can have their own little accoutrement as they wish. So let me pull one of these lids. So like I mentioned, we got a bunch of containers on Amazon. You know, they're not very expensive. I meal prep for me. I was meal prepping for me and my sister also, which I may end up doing again. I'm actually having dinner with my family tonight, so it'll probably be a topic of conversation at some point. But they've been gone for the holidays, so I haven't really been doing it for them as much or at all, just for myself and then for my friends a couple times. I'm just gonna be doing this on a regular basis now that we're back into a rhythm of 2022 being here. Okay guys, look, there's so much stuff. There's literally so much stuff. So what I want to do now is I'm going to do the exact same thing, but with the Mexican bowls, okay? So the burrito bowls. So I'm just going to set this aside for a second, move all this. I'm going to grab my pan again. I'm going to give it a good rinse because I'm going to use different seasonings this time. Do a blend of warmer savory spices. Then I'm gonna go ahead and grab my chicken out again, give my pan a spray. Okay. I'm gonna adjust this so you can kind of see what I'm doing a little bit better. And also I made sure that I got chicken that would last. So these actually expire on the 21st. Today's only the 9th, I think. So we have another little bit of time. So I can use the third package either on Wednesday, for another meal, or I can even use it next week, like for the following week. I'm gonna grab another bag. Another week, so because I'll have the space in the expiration date to be able to use into that next round, so it's really good. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna add in a little oil. I'm not gonna add more salt and pepper because I already have it in there, but I am gonna add some nutritional yeast just to kind of give it a cheesy flavor. And I'm gonna add smoked paprika, generous. I'm going to add some ancho chili powder. I like this a lot. It has like a smokiness to it, which tastes really good with the smokiness of the smoked paprika, and then a little coriander, which is basically just cilantro. So sprinkle that in there. I think I'm gonna skip the cumin just because it kind of does give that like weird smell. And with my girlfriend being pregnant, smells are kind of, you know, big on her radar these days, and I don't want anything that's unpleasant in any way to invade her nostrils. So sometimes cumin can smell a little bit like body odor, and so I'm gonna skip that one. We're just gonna skip it all together. So here's with the chicken, I'm just gonna kind of like let that sit for a minute there. I have another tomato that I want to cut up, and I have the pepper, and then I have some onion that I'll probably cut up as well. that, Bella. Move this over here. So the good thing with the Mexican stuff is that I can put everything in one container and it's not as bad to heat it all up. Like if you heat up the tomatoes in a Mexican dish, like it's not really that big of a deal. It's not gonna, you know, the beans, all that kind of stuff, it'll be fine. Even the pepper and all that. So that's kind of one also good thing about being able to put these together is like just be mindful of like how you're assembling things and like how they are going to like be eaten. Whether or not it's going to be an issue if it's reheated or not, kind of like with the Greek salads or the Greek bowls, right? Like I didn't want certain things to be heated, although they are a part of the plate. So making that separate bowl essentially was necessary because I didn't want it to be ruined by heat by putting it all together in one big bowl, even though it will be eaten as one big bowl. So just be mindful when you're putting those meal ideas together of, like I said, how you're going to assemble them and how they're going to be enjoyed. But with this one, I'm just going to kind of toss it all in one bowl and not really worry about it as much. Okay, so now that we've gotten these things pretty much sliced up, I was thinking about throwing some onion in here, but honestly, I kind of am over cutting things up. That's just being real. And it is like 1:30, so I'm now at like an hour and a half or 2.5 hours. And now granted, I probably am taking longer than I normally would because I'm like talking and explaining and I'm not just focusing and like listening to something. Normally I'm like listening to worship or I'm listening to a video or I'm listening to something going on behind me, so I'm just kind of like zoning in. I'm not stopping and talking, so like that's obviously taking up a little bit more time, but I'm totally cool with it because this has been really fun for me. Hopefully it's been fun for you if you're still here 2 hours and 25 minutes and 32 seconds later. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to take this and I'm gonna do the exact same thing that I did with the Greek bowls. Okay, so I'm going to probably just do four. I have to grab more containers. Okay. They're in my closet. I'm not sure if these are the same kind. I think they are. Yes, they are. Which is really great. Okay, cool. So, I'm going to take 4 more containers and I'm going to assemble them just like we did for the Greek ones. Starting with my rice. So I'm just going to do 1/2 cup per. I mean, some people go to like Chipotle or Qdoba and spend like, oh my gosh, what, $7, $8, $9 on a bowl, when literally like this equals out to be, I think I spent $1 on my rice. That equals out to be like 50 cents per, because I made 8, and then $8.50, so that's $2.15, call it. So now you're talking $3.15, like less than $4 probably a bowl after everything is said and done. And you're making it, so you know exactly like everything that's going into it, you know all the ingredients, you know that there's no extra oils or additives or any weird stuff that you don't know about, because you're literally putting it together and making it yourself. So I don't know, I'm just a big fan. Okay, now I'm gonna take my scale back out. And do 4 ounces of chicken per. Even when I was buying this chicken at TJ's, I was thinking like, man, is it really like worth it? You know, $8.25 for like one thing of chicken. But yeah, it really is. It saved a ton of time today. Like, can you imagine? Can you imagine like not only doing all the other things, but also cooking the chicken and like shredding it and all that? Like, oh my gosh, it would have been a lot. It would have been a lot. So I'm all about convenience when it makes sense. And so in this circumstance situation, it makes sense. Okay. So now I can take this, right? Put this scale away, turn it off. I love this scale, by the way. I got it from Amazon. It was about $20. The sun is starting to shine through. Can you guys see it? Oh, the lighting is changing. I think I might need to turn this off. Nope, I don't. So this was about $20 or so on Amazon. I've had this for over a year. It's just a great little scale. Long battery life, and yeah, I just love it, you know. Again, every like gram counts right now, every milliliter, every ounce, everything. So I'm just trying to like keep it so that I can, you know exactly what I'm putting into my body, so I can track those macros. Okay, so black beans are next. And again, it's about half of a cup, 3.5 servings. So we're gonna go a little bit less than half of a cup, so we get that full, we'll go maybe 1/4 of a cup actually on these guys. Another thing I really like that I can't really eat often are beans. Beans really mess me up. They just make my stomach hurt really bad, and although I love them, especially like chickpeas and black beans and lentils, like I just really have to be so careful eating them, because they just wreck my stomach. But again, not having dietary restrictions makes cooking really fun and enjoyable. So I'm glad that I can kind of have, you know, live vicariously kind of through my friends cooking for them. Okay. gonna grab my 1/4 cup and toss those in there. I drained these, but there's still a little bit of like the black bean juice in there, which I'm cool with because again, like it's gonna be packaged in the refrigerator for a few days, and so like once it gets reheated, this will just kind of help to put a little bit more moisture back into the dish. So I'm just gonna come back in and with a spoon just sort of spoon in the remnants of the can. I'm so excited that the sun is coming in. It's really changing the lighting here, but like it's cool. Okay. And now we can bring back some of the toppings. Do a little tomato. Maybe do a little less on that guy. Bring in some red pepper. Remember, we only had like 1 pepper. It really, wow, that light is like really coming through crazy, huh? Let's see here. Honestly, I don't even care. It doesn't even matter, like whatever. We're almost done anyway. So 1 pepper really went far, which is good. Okay, and then now we're gonna add the black olives right here on the corner. Actually, let me grab a spoon. Okay. Beautiful. And then of course we have the salsa, which I think I'm gonna go ahead and put on just because that way it's all together and they can just eat it and then they can add their guac on it later. So 2 tablespoons is a serving. I'll probably start with 2, see what we think. And then if we need to add a little bit more. Now granted, remember we will be putting guacamole on here as well. Not actually on here. Pepper has a sticker on it. No, thank you. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay, I think that's probably good for now. You know, they can add more later if they want. It's an appropriate amount of salsa. Let's go ahead and package these guys up. Oh, you know what I did want to add? I wanted to add the green onion and cilantro because that's part of this dish. So let me, before I forget to do that, let me go ahead and do that. right. Using it all. And this beautiful cilantro. I just love fresh herbs. I think they really just bring food to life. I just kind of sniff it in there. I'm pretty generous with it, you know. It's all gonna mix in anyways. And the good thing about cilantro, which isn't necessarily the same for like basil, it's fine if you heat it up. It doesn't really kill it if you heat it up. You know what I mean? But like with basil, it definitely does. So grabbing some lids. Wow, you guys, the sun is like really popping right now. Also, the cool thing is like, it took about 11, 12, 1, 2, almost 3 hours, right? 2 hours and 40 minutes so far. But this is like food for a family of 3. So if it's just you, this will not take nearly as long. It'll probably take you an hour, you know, max. Okay, so even though the kitchen's kind of a mess right now, I'm gonna take this camera down and I'm gonna show you sort of what we have and what we're working with. So, okay, so now that we're basically finished with this, I'm really happy with everything. I'm gonna just show you like everything that we made, and I think I'm gonna hold off on the steak. Just because there's so much food here that there's really, I don't think, a need for it. And if there is later, then they'll just tell me, hey, we need extra food. So, and I can just make it because I have it here. So I'm gonna flip this camera around. There are a couple of things that I didn't cut up. Like I'm not gonna cut up oranges and like the lemon, all that kind of stuff. That's just not necessary. It's unnecessary. Although I might put the lemon in lemon wedge into the Greek bowl. I think I might do that, but I'm just gonna flip this really fast and let you see. Let's see. It won't actually let me flip it, so I'm just gonna show you. Okay, so we have the pizza. All right, so I'm gonna cut that up. Then we have these egg bites. I'm gonna put these into portions. We have this beautiful pasta that I'm gonna put into portions as well. And we have the Greek bowls, so we have the cold, and then the hot. And then we have the Mexican bowls right here. So all of this stuff is ready to rock and roll, and it's ready for them to enjoy. And I'm going to clean up my kitchen. Sorry if that just blinded you guys, but yeah. I'm gonna clean up my kitchen now, and I'm gonna package this up for my friends. I'm gonna take it over there, and you guys, it's 2 hours and 40 minutes. And if y'all are really here still, bravo to you. Bravo to you. Now this lighting is like making everything look crazy. So anyway, I am so happy that I got to share this with you. I'm so excited that I got to do this. If you want more videos like this, maybe not as long, but videos on like planning for one person, or planning with dietary restrictions, or you know, how to have a small organized kitchen, and like all those kinds of things, like let me know. I might just make them anyways, even if nobody tells me, because this is like really super deep into the video, and maybe no one's ever gonna see this that I even asked that question. So anyway, until next time, be blessed.